in the squadron. They called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You know, so I've been poking around. I see this Jack Kane. Yeah, he's become a real worrywart. I like him. He's got a good strategic mind, but, he's not always right. And this was another big champion of invading Iraq who was wrong. And then he somehow got a reputation for having fixed Iraq. And I don't know if he deserves that. Number one, Iraq really was never fixed. And number two, just because Bob Woodward thinks something doesn't mean it's true, right? Bob Woodward wrote a book that basically said that Jack Keane, the general, U.S. Army, retired, engineered everything to fix the debacle that was Iraq. And he did it all from his basement in McLean, Virginia. I had my doubts about that story then, and I have about it now. I understand. We all have sources in the administration. All have sources. But the thing about your sources in the administration, they all have agendas. And why do they leak? They leak so that things will happen, that their agenda will be advanced somehow. They don't like the $300 billion. They don't like the 60, whatever it is they don't like. And then they leak to for their agenda to gather some sort of a momentum or to harm the other guy. It's very interesting to me that at that level, number one, the leaking, I think, works less than ever before. It still has its place, and sometimes there are something known as authorized leaks where you want it to be in the paper, even in the New York Times. But these newspapers mean less and less than ever before. There are smart people, very smart people. This was unheard of 10, 15, 20 years ago, where you could go through life without looking at the New York Times or looking at the Wall Street Journal. You're probably better off in many respects because the lies, the distortions. Look, Joe Biden was walking around in a fog for 4 years, and they pretended he was normal right up until the very last minute when 600 million people, who however many people watch that debate around the world, and they couldn't lie. They couldn't cover up for him. They're always wrong about pretty much everything. And I find that fascinating. A lot of this is faith. I have faith in President Trump. I have faith in J.D. Vance. I have faith that they have done the right thing and are doing the right thing. And you could say, well, that's blind faith. No, it's not blind faith. It's based on experience. It's based on where we've been, what we've been through, a modicum of experience I have in the region. People are always telling us, that last caller said, how can we be doing this with Qatar? Qatar is an enemy of ours. Saudi Arabia is an enemy of ours. All these places are enemies. I can tell you back in the 1990s, I was flying missions with Qatari pilots. We were flying missions. We were coordinating with them. Jordanian pilots, Saudi pilots, yes, Israeli pilots too. And we have come very far since then. We have major military installations in these countries. These countries are working very closely with us, and they have been for a long time, against Iran. That we have a coalition that opposes Iran at this moment is a beautiful thing, not a dangerous thing. And for people to play into that, they're banking on you looking at the world the way we did in 1975, Every time we saw that headdress, every time we heard OPEC, we got mad. This is not that. They are furious with Iran. Remember, these countries have been attacked by Iran, right? So we have all that to kind of factor in. And it's going to come together. There is a lot of street talk, a lot of smash talk, especially on the Iranian side, and a little bit on our side. And you also have to weed out the the messenger, this Trey Yingst thing. Trey Yingst of Fox News. This guy could be ordering from McDonald's and he'd be in a total panic. And now he's actually having conversations with the president. He's really in overdrive. All right, this is what got a lot of the world talking. And I think we could put a big asterisk next to it because Trey may have taken things out of context. Trey may not have been able to understand everything. All right, there are goods and negatives to calling these people individually and telling them important stuff. Cut one, if you don't mind. Cut one.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. I just spoke with President Trump for more than 20 minutes, and he gave some new insight and reaction about the ongoing talks that are taking place in Switzerland and the threats coming from the Iranian regime. President Trump telling Fox News that the U.S. may take over the strait in the future if they have to and collect tolls. The president described this as the United States being the guardian angel of the Strait of Hormuz and the Middle East. And the president said ultimately that would involve the U.S. taking 20% of the oil that passes through the strait. Remember, this comes in reaction to the Iranians saying they will close the Strait of Hormuz in response to Israeli strikes against Hezbollah in Lebanon. President Trump tells Fox News he spoke with Iranian officials overnight and said, you close it and you won't have a country. He went on to tell these officials, you won't even make it back to your effing country. Now, earlier today, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian said this about Iranian enrichment of uranium. The president also reacting to that. Take a listen.
We will not give up our right to enrichment, and they, too, will be forced to accept it. You all know what the so-called President of the United States was saying. He had made a complete 100-degree turn. He was saying that Iran must surrender unconditionally. Iran has no right to do this, it has no right to do that.
President Trump, during our call, responded directly to those comments by Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. President Trump told Fox News he better watch his mouth, he better shape up, or we'll take over the rest of the country.
Wow. Well, that whole thing about the unconditional surrender, I knew at the time, I said it out loud. I said, this is not about unconditional surrender. This is about putting surrender on the table. Everybody was saying, well, there's no way they're going to unconditionally surrender. There's going to be conditions. You know, that's not the way they're going to surrender. This will be, but that's the genius of it. Suddenly, there was not a question of surrender. It was a question of what kind of surrender. Will it be conditional? Will it be unconditional? Right? And you could say that some of this is mercy on our part. Mercy. And for those who are still spooked about the $300 billion and this and that and the other thing, look, you make peace with your enemies, not your friends, okay? And he has always tried to entice his enemies, our enemies, to peace through incentives like, how about a great big resort and a casino in North Korea? Kim, I think you would like that. I could totally see you in a casino. I know you like to drink. I know about that. I know. Look, nobody knows you more than I do, all right? Believe me. And you can have a great life. And, you know, you don't have to go everywhere on that train. You know, Kim Jong-un here, he's a great guy, but he's afraid of flying, they say. But really, he's afraid of flying in the old-timey, crazy 70-year-old airplanes they have. He'll fly. He's not as scared. He'll fly. But, you know, Kim, to fly, you got to get some new jets. And we're going to help you get those new jets. You just got to stop with the nuclear, and everything's going to be great. He said the same thing to Gaza. Now, remember, all that stuff, there were AI videos that he promoted on True Social about how wonderful things are going to be if you get on board here. And now there's a little bit of that going with Iran. And I know some people, some people who don't get to point out how tough they are, right? Most people can't be tough guys. You can't. Our society is not really set up for that. But this is a guy who can, as president, we know he's tough. So he doesn't have to worry about suddenly, being soft, right? It's not soft, it's reasonable. But others want to be tougher than President Trump or tough like President Trump, so they say, no, you've gone soft. You've gone soft. That's not how I see it. Hey, a couple of other little things here. Byron Donalds is on his way to becoming governor of Florida, or so I thought. I understand that there's a bit more resistance down there to him than I might have realized. But here he is on Barack Obama's presidential center, that weirdo building without the windows. Just it kind of looks like a What does it look like? You know what it looks like? One of those rocks from Stonehenge, right? It's a little bit uneven. Remember that, Stonehenge? That crazy, whatever the hell it is, circle of big granite blocks in England for some reason. Maybe the Martians set them up. Nobody knows what that thing is all about. Nobody knows. Let's see. Here's Byron Donalds on the presidential library. I did say library, not library. Cut 6.
Look, I hear that you need an ID to be able to enter the facility. How ironic that you need an ID to get in there, but the same Democrat Party, still in some respects led by Barack Obama, does not want voter ID throughout the United States of America. I also wonder if they're going to have a time capsule exhibit on the price of health care before his health care plan went into effect, and it's driven up premiums and deductibles for Americans, rich or poor, black or white, all across this country. So I think it's indicative that the rental rates are going up because of this library, because the health care rates have gone up because of his health care policy, and that's been to the detriment of every American.
All right, Byron Donalds on fire there. There's also growing concern that there are all kinds of vendors who have not been paid for their work on that library. Joe Biden got lost. Maybe you saw that. He got lost at the event. That was kind of amusing. What else happened? He seemed totally bored with Michelle Obama's speech. I found that curious. Their relationship is an oddball one. Hey, Carlos, do me a favor. This is from the presidential library. This is like their first video. Apparently somewhere in there was a basketball court. All right, there's a basketball court because Obama, likes basketball. That's fine. A lot of reasons to not like Obama. That's not one of them. He likes basketball like a lot of people. But even with the basketball, it's all, I don't know. It's look at me, I'm cool. And also there's a big chunk of this. Look at me, I'm really black. No, seriously, I'm black. I'm totally black. I'm even more than black. I'm hood, right? I get it. I'm down with it. Watch me roll with my homies. First, there's not one white person in this entire video, right? He finds the elite of Chicago to hang with and shoot hoops with and to celebrate himself. If only he rolled up his sleeves to, work with black boys, right? Like he said he was going to do. But he didn't want to break a sweat because that's a big problem. Absentee fathers, dropping out of high school, illiteracy, incarceration, all that stuff that wildly affects, disproportionately so, the black community, whatever the black community is, black community. It seems, is there a white community? Is there a black community? Not really, but that's what we say for some reason. Always capitalize the B, right? Nah. All right, here's Barack Obama shooting hoops. You can tell, you can hear his voice. He's just kind of doing that, that kind of handshake where you do the thing with your thumb and the fingers, and and then you make it like a bird at the end, and it's like I'm hip, I'm cool. That's what it's all about. Go ahead.
See you. Hey, you got the first shot. I got to put the pressure on it. That means I got to make it.
You're just chilling, man.
2016. We played on election day, Fort McNair, and I was on fire. I was raining down threes, and I had like these spin moves, and I was like, man, my main man Marty Nesbitt, chairman of the nation. So we'd have like the old guys against the younger guys. So nice to see you, Sophia. Pop this girl, you're playing knockout, right? Playing knockout. Dude, you are the fastest man in the NBA. Oh, right. I'm a 50-year-old man. Of course I'm slow to you.
50. Doot. He's dribbling, smiling, and having fun with his homeboys. Correct me. I am corrected. There is one white person in this video. 8-year-old Sophia. Is that LeBron James? I think it is, actually. I don't, yeah, I get it. You're cool. You're slim. You look great in a suit. It must have been fun being president. Too bad you didn't break a sweat for anybody else, because then you might have looked a little bit silly. You may not have made friends with everybody. Some people would have resented you, and some people, like Jesse Jackson and Calvin Butts and others in the black community, would raise questions about your blackness. And you couldn't have that because he's deeply, deeply conflicted and hung up about race. 15 books about himself, and half of the books are about him and race. And what am I? What did my father want from me? Dreams, this, that. It's all a blur. Hey, do me a favor. When is it? It's June. I guess it's been 9 months since Charlie Kirk was killed. And I heard somebody, a former liberal, have an aha moment. Like, oh my God, I've been wrong all this time. He hated Charlie Kirk, he thought, because he was told to hate Charlie Kirk. He had never actually sat down and read or truly watched Charlie Kirk say anything or do anything. And then he had the awakening. I'd say one of the top 3 awakenings you can ever have. We'll be right back with that.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, real quick, excuse me. I have to come up with a new plan to help my friend Bill Stevenson. Some of you have mentioned Give, Send, Go, or a GoFundMe to raise money for the Legal Defense Fund, which for a variety of reasons I did not embrace right away. Number one, I had to get my hands on the facts. I had to figure out what the hell was going on. He had his own lawyer. I have to respect that, but I do not respect his lawyer right now. It's a defense, one of those legal aid attorneys who seems to me totally conflicted and totally weird. I have some new information. I'm actually going to go through all of it. Some of it I actually have to leave out, but a lot of it is very, very interesting. And let's just see what we got here. 2 autopsies were done, and the initial one was not at all conclusive. No marks, nothing, no heart attack, organs okay. They could not figure out why she stopped breathing. That was the first autopsy. So a second autopsy was ordered. This is on Linda Stevenson, his wife, who was found dead in late December in the apartment. He called in the house. He called 911. There was a 911 phone call. We don't know who initiated it. Unknown who ordered a second autopsy, and unknown what they found in the second autopsy. Who the hell ordered that? The death certificate said cause of death unknown. Right now, the defendant, Bill Stevenson, has not seen any autopsy. That's like huge. That is the information. I don't think he's getting a fair deal in Delaware, and I got to get some money to get a good lawyer.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, trying to figure the world out can be a tough job these days, and that's why I'm calling on all the wise men I know, like Gordon G. Chang, the global expert, the China expert, of course, author of Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America, the Coming Collapse of China, and China is Going to War. You can find him on X and go to GordonChang.com. Gordon Chang, welcome back. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, Greg, and thank you so much.
You bet. Now, listen, China kind of looms over pretty much everything that's going on in the world these days, including the negotiations between us and Iran in Switzerland. Just what is your take of how things are going? I know there's a lot of panic out there on the left and the right. Some of it I think is fake, but what do you make of it all?
Well, certainly there's a lot of news coming out, but it's contradictory, and I think we just have to wait because, these things just change by the hour. There's some news right now that Iran is going to use oil revenue, which the Treasury Department gave them a 60-day license. They're going to use some of that to actually purchase American farm products, which would be amazing. But, as I said, we're going to have to wait for this to settle down. And at the end of the 60-day period, we're going to see if this works or not.
60-day period. Some people are saying it may not take 60 days. It does seem like things are happening really quick. I mean, J.D. Vance is over there right now. I thought maybe he would join later. If it's 60 days, that's a long time, kind of. You think it's going to take that long?
I think it will take some time because we're dealing with incredibly important technical issues. Just to give you an example, The vice president talked about how Iran is allowing IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors back into Iran. Now, that's good, but the question is, what are the terms of the inspections? So are they going to be the additional protocol inspections, which are anytime, any place, or are they going to be something less? And remember, the JCPOA, which was Obama's 2015 deal, fell apart after Iran denied IAEA inspectors the right to look at military facilities. And that's when Trump canceled and withdrew from the agreement. So all of this is going to be very much contingent on the specific terms. And that's going to take some time to actually negotiate.
I think a lot of the conversation seems to be forgetting that, we bombed Iran significantly. Operation Epic Fury, which took, 2 or 3 months, not the entire time, but a lot. We bombed them for a lot of days and nights. And then what happened last summer with the B-2 strike? What do they call that? Velvet Hammer. Like, somehow that's forgotten. It almost is like we're starting, this is square one. It's not square one. They haven't factored in President Trump's use of force and his willingness to use force, which was never a tool that Obama had. And of course, we have like the results, like we have presumably no nuclear anymore over there. And that's such a huge factor I don't think is getting enough attention. Is that fair, sir?
Well, that's fair. I mean, President Trump has an unusual negotiating style, and so it's difficult at this point to say whether it'll work or not. People, and certainly me, have concerns about the Memorandum of Understanding and the framework that it embodies, but we'll just have to see at the end of the 60-day period whether this comes good or not. So that's why it's important, I think, to give the president deference, maybe give him some guidance along the way. But clearly, we're going to have to wait to see whether this works.
All right. What guidance would you give him right now?
I'm concerned about relieving the pressure on Iran before they actually come to terms on many specific technical issues, which are going to be all important. So, for instance, the 60-day license that the Treasury Department has given to Iran to sell oil, I can understand that President Trump wants to see if the Iranians will reciprocate. If they do, that's great. But if they don't, then I think we have to go back to cutting off the flow of oil revenue to the regime.
All right. Now, what is China making of all of this? And how are they doing these days? Are they have they gotten their act together? I heard their economy last time I really thought about it was not doing well. Are they bad actors, good actors, neutral? What's their role in all of this?
Well, they were bad actors during the war because they supplied Iran with everything that it needed except for combat personnel. So it was, for instance, economic support, diplomatic support, propaganda support, weapons, and most important of all, targeting information, which the Iranians used to kill Americans. So they are bad actors, and clearly they're on Iran's side. When you step back and look at this entire process, Greg, if President Trump is able to get Iran out of China's orbit, that'll be a major success. And that's something we're not focusing on right now. Of course, we talk about ballistic missiles. We talk about the nuclear weapons program and their support for Hezbollah. But the bigger issue is going to always be where does Iran stand with regard to China? Because if China still controls Iran, this will not have been a good scenario for us. But if we're able to separate Tehran from Beijing, then that's a major win because Iran has been, up to now, China's proxy, disrupting the Middle East and elsewhere at Beijing's behest.
It's funny. I have a hard time picturing Iranians and Chinese in the same room. And I know they've been in cahoots for a long time. Does that go back a long time? When did they start this crazy alliance?
This goes back decades because Iran has a nuclear weapons program because of China. China directly and indirectly through Pakistan's AQ Khan network supplied all that Iran needed for a nuclear weapon. And so, when the Chinese say, well, President Trump disrupted the world, President Trump needs to stand back and say, well, look, the reason why there is a war is because you, Beijing, supplied the nuclear weapons program. So this goes back decades, and we have seen these tight economic links. Now, I agree with you. when you think about what Iran wants in the world, that's a global caliphate. And what Beijing wants, which is world domination by the Chinese, that's mutually inconsistent. You can't have both of those things at the same time. But in the here and now, Beijing and Tehran have made short-term decisions to cooperate with each other because they see that their interests, at least in the short term, coincide. And by the way, that means undermining the United States.
Of course it does. Of course it does. Hey, wait, real quick about China. Do they still want that? Do they still want global communism? I thought they kind of like wised up about that. And, they need customers and they need, are they really still moving in that direction? I guess, yeah, with that Belt and Road thing and they're starting all these things all over the world. Are they still really genuinely into that?
It's not global communism, but it is Chinese rule. And Xi Jinping has been pushing the notion that China has the right and obligation to rule the world. And since 2017, Chinese officials have actually talked in public about the moon and Mars as sovereign Chinese territory. So Xi Jinping is the most ambitious aggressor in history.
Oh, boy. What's the number one thing that people don't understand about China? You've been there. You've studied the place. You traveled extensively. Nobody knows China like you do, really, on our side here. What's the number one misconception?
I think it's that the regime is evil, and we are not willing to say that in public. And that's true of democracies. They always shy away from looking at the essential nature of hardline regimes. And so, we made that mistake about Osama bin Laden. We made that mistake about the Japanese, and we're now making the same mistake about the Chinese. It's inherent in democracies.
And President Trump should kind of go a little bit harder on them? Should he have gone to China? Should he have done all that stuff?
I don't think so, but the point is President Trump gave Xi Jinping an off-ramp. We have seen since the summit the Chinese have decided not to take that off-ramp by ramping up pressure on both Taiwan and the Philippines, and also by assaulting us. And that is when you look at their additional restrictions on exports of rare earths and all the rest of it, they have not reciprocated President Trump's gesture of friendship. And that's just the way that regime operates. It does not reciprocate. It always presses the advantage. It sees friendship as a sign of weakness. They're wrong about that, but that's the way they view it.
And how about that silly Joe Biden? For decades, I'm best friends with Xi Jinping. I went around the moon with him so many times we were on a plane. Like that was not helpful. That was the strangest, weirdest, most corrupt act that took place in plain sight. His bragging about how well he knew Xi.
And his son taking a lot of money from a Chinese company, which was obviously at the direction of the Communist Party's United Front Work Department. So put those two things together, and it was not good at all for us.
No, so damaging to the country. Well, Gordon Chang, we so appreciate you, and you tell it like you see it, and we respect that. Sometimes people don't want to hear, but they need to hear. Gordon G. Chang, at Gordon G. Chang on X, and his books are everywhere, wherever books are sold. You really, you'll know so much more than the people in the fake news and elsewhere, and even in government. Gordon, we thank you, sir.
Well, thank you, Greg. I really appreciate it.
You bet, sir. Thank you. To be continued. Wow, he does know his stuff. And the world is intricate, very, very intricate. That's why I'm hesitant sometimes, It's like commenting on two people playing chess, and you never actually took chess in school. You don't know how to play chess, and you can't even see the chess board. Sometimes that's how I feel about some of these things, but I do have faith. I have faith. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Give me a call. Girls and boys. We had all girls the last hour. How about that? That has never happened before. Very interesting. All women, I should say. Now it's time for the dudes. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Be right back.
I didn't think the pain from the shingles rash would affect simple, everyday tasks like bathing, getting dressed, or even walking around. I was wrong. Though not everyone at risk will develop it, 99% of people over the age of 50 already have the virus that causes shingles, and it could reactivate at any time. I developed it, and the blistering rash lasted for weeks. Don't learn the hard way, like I did. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today. Sponsored by GSK.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, this is beautiful news. The killer of Eton Pates, Pedro Hernandez, was just denied a new trial by the Supreme Court. This guy, this lowlife, killed Eton Pates. He confessed. Eton Pates, remember the little boy who went missing back in the late 1970s? And Pedro Hernandez was living in New Jersey, and it came out. He told people over the years, you know, he had done a bad thing in New York. He had done a bad thing. He confessed to various people, including his own family. One of his relatives called the cops, New York City cops, went out there, talked to him. He confessed. Then he brought him to police headquarters. He confessed again. And then they brought him to the crime scene, and he outlined, okay, this is where I was. This is where the boy was. This is where I brought him. It all checked out. And he was arrested, charged with murder. And the first trial ended in a hung jury because one jerky juror thought he'd be cute and, had doubt or whatever. But I think he was just looking to make a name for himself. And also, it was kind of just before society went bananas, you know? Let's face it, everything went bananas. BLM and the rest. Can't trust police. Defund the police. I was very proud of my dad, actually. He was I remember it well when this kid went missing. And it was like a real, what the hell happened? And my dad was the one who announced the arrest from police headquarters as police commissioner. He was only a lieutenant back when the kid was abducted or murdered. Now we know he was murdered by Pedro Hernandez before his parents even knew he was missing. He walked at the age of 6 to the bus stop by himself, which was a thing back then. It was totally a thing. I remember walking to first grade by myself. I couldn't have been more than 5 or 6. That's the way things were back then. It was a different era. But after this, everything changed. The Supreme Court just said the conviction stands. No new jury. It was just some technicality that they were invoking and tried to get out of it. 6-3 decision. All the liberals said he deserves a new trial. All the conservatives and moderate ones said, you can't mess with the state case. This is the federal court. You can't mess with it. So I am actually quite pleased about that. You never know what the hell's going to happen. You know who asked for the Supreme Court ruling? Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg, for all of his faults, wanted this conviction to stand. And they petitioned the court, the Manhattan DA's office. Let's see here. Justin, he's up in Middletown somewhere. Hi. Is he there?
Greg, how you doing, bro? Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Longtime fan. You and Dominic are my favorite. I listen to you guys all the time. I do notice you have a huge problem with marijuana. I just want to know, why are you so, it seems to be against it? If I'm wrong, I apologize.
No, man, I'm totally against it. It induces psychosis. People become lazy and stupid, and it's harming almost everything in American life. People are even more checked out than ever before. We legalized it without a nanosecond of in-depth consideration and evaluation. The marijuana industry figured out, hey, if we throw the word medical in front of it, people will approve just about anything. Medical cyanide. Literally, we have medical cyanide right now, for assisted suicide. Medical marijuana. I think most of it is a myth, and people just like getting high. Now, there are maybe a handful, very small. I'm talking about 6 people in the country who are genuinely helped by this crap. You got kids smoking it when their brains aren't fully formed. You got adults smoking it, and their abilities are degraded severely. Driving a train, airplane, you name it. I mean, everything. Everybody is smoking that crap, and we haven't even begun to come to terms with what it means. I've been high a handful of times myself. Very, very, very negative experiences. And I think the edible thing is even worse. Are you a pothead or something? Do you like this stuff?
I love smoking it. I don't do edibles. I don't do dabs. All that is way too strong. I'm old school. I like my flower. That's it. I've been smoking since I was 15 years old. It hasn't stopped me from...
What do you get out of it? What do you get out of it?
What do I get out of it? In all honesty, Greg, it relaxes me. I get very stressed and I can't say that I have any kind of panic attacks or anything like that. I do get sketched out every once in a while if I'm smoking kind of like, where I think something would be a problem. But all in all, I've been doing it.
You get sketched out. What did you say? You get what?
I get like sketched out, like
paranoid.
What's it called? Like paranoid.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. You take pot to lighten your stress, but you just point out that a byproduct, a side effect, is sometimes being hyper stressed and paranoid. I mean, look, if you want to manage stress, if you really want to manage stress, can I make a recommendation? Sincerely, open the Bible and open the Charles Stanley Life Principles Bible. It's only because it had little footnotes and essays. You'll never need another substance. You'll never need anything. All you'll need is God, and He will take care of you. I really believe, Justin, this is a dirty, weak Band-Aid for whatever ails you, and you can be repaired. You can be totally repaired and rejuvenated, and you won't need this crap to make you feel like something you're not. And let's face it, stress. I like that I don't have as much anxiety as I used to, but a little bit is okay. A little bit is okay. We improve ourselves. I'm falling behind. I better work harder. Hey, I appreciate you talking to me, though, about it with a cheerful disposition. Some people get really mad about it. You know what I mean?
I'm not that kind of guy, dude.
I appreciate it. I want you to remember about the Bible. And I want you to take a good hard look. Are you satisfied with things? And I'm not making any judgments. Maybe you are. But I know you could be further along in your life, personal and professional, if you take a step away from that stuff. A giant one. I appreciate it, Justin. Keep me posted. The Charles Stanley Life Principles Bible. Thank you. Eddie is standing by. Hi, Eddie.
Thank you. I have a brother-in-law that's Persian.
What?
I have a brother-in-law that's Persian, and he has some thoughts about Mondami and what's happening, and thank God for you that puts his thoughts out on the radio. That I'll tell you that I agree with every day, because we're good guys. We get damn mad about things. About situations that are happening in the mayor and what we look at in our lives. And, thank you for bringing it all to the radio, my friends. I really do.
Well, anytime, Eddie. I appreciate it. Who's that? Your brother-in-law, you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, and what does he have to say about anything?
Well, he's got his whole family over there. And, his sister got raped. You know what the punishment for rape is in Iran? They stone you, not the guy that
the victim
her to death.
They stone the victim to death. Yeah, this is jeez, it's unbelievable. I laugh because it's just so absurd. It's so absurd. Can you believe that, for crying out loud? Gosh, and they say America. Gosh. Hey, man, I appreciate it, Eddie. Keep in touch, all right? I gotta get through a couple more because I've been remiss with the calls. Mary, very quickly.
Iran gets to keep its ballistic missiles. Israel is none of the negotiating.
Oh, yeah, I know. So you're the Mary who's all down on this deal. Look, we already wiped out their ballistic missiles. What do you want us to do? What is a realistic alternative? We got rid of their nuclear. All right? We did that. We did it for the world. We did it for us. And we did it for Israel, too. All right? Let's take the win.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?